Listen to what the preacher says here in Ecclesiastes in chapter 1, down here. He said, to know wisdom is folly, and to know the wisdom of the world is madness. Madness. This sounds to me like a man who had something that some of my friends have got. And they have a name for it today that they call it. And I can't get that in my head right now. But anyway, you can go mad knowing the wisdom of the world. I have a friend, his name's Brother Ed Villo. He was my man born with a pneumatic mind. Everything became numbers to him. He could remember hundreds of phone numbers, thousands. He could remember everything he ever read. He remember. And in his memory he said, had I not given my memory to God to use it for spiritual reasons and to put the Bible in it, I would have exhausted and broke my mind and gone mad. And other people he talked about, there was a couple other people in the world at that time. They had the type of mind that he had, and they broke their mind by applying it to the things of the world that come to an end. The Bible does not come to an end. It's a living book. It lives forever, and you cannot exhaust it. And no matter how good your mind is, you can't exhaust it. And that's what he came to. The preacher, king over Israel and Jerusalem, set his heart to seek out and search wisdom concerning all that is under the sun. Now remember, it was vanity. Let's look at chapter 2. The vanity of pleasure. I said in my heart, come now, I will test you with mirth. Therefore enjoy pleasure. But surely this also was vanity. Remember now, this is a king writing at the end of his time. He's writing now at the end of his time. At the very dead end of his time, he's writing this. He had already been where he said he was going. I said of the latter, madness of mirth. Madness, he said, does it accomplish? I searched in my heart how grafty my flesh was with wine, while I was guiding my heart with wisdom, and how to lay hold on folly, till I might see what was good for the sons of men to do under heaven all the days of their life. He said, I grasped a hold of folly. It was like grabbing the wind and being tossed to and fro and carried by the wind of the doctrines of the world and left hanging in the wind. What disaster and what destruction does a tornado come by and leave behind it? And what disaster and destruction did this man leave behind him? Oh my goodness. Read Proverbs. Read what Solomon had amassed. Read the story of Solomon and what he had amassed. And I can guarantee you in that day, the guy that was over 1,500 stables and 1,500 pairs of horses that could hook up to chariots and go out, and those Arabian horses and everything, and all of the table settings when he set the table. When Solomon ate, thousands ate. When Solomon served a meal, thousands ate. Solomon fed the whole country, all the families of the wives that he had, all the families of the concubines that he had, ate from his supply. When Solomon had a meal go out, it was a meal that would feed a whole city, a large city, 250,000 people, 3 meals a day. Can you imagine? Here's a head man over such a kingdom. Why did people bring their girls, their daughters, to marry Solomon and then take them back home with them. They was one of Solomon's wife. If he ever got around to calling her, it was his wife. And because they became under the food supply of Solomon. By the way, today, people are casting their lives on the government, thinking the government is their food supply and their food chain and will feed them and keep them and all this and that. I got news for you. Just like Solomon died in his day, the government's going to die in our day. And when it does, it's going to be a disaster left behind. When Solomon died, it was a big hole, a big disaster. I can just see right now in my mind's eye, because before I got saved, I had a criminal mind and would have a criminal mind today, even though I have a saved soul and a saved spirit. This flesh would have a criminal mind if I allowed it to, because my mind thinks criminally. Now, in my criminal mind, in my old mind, fleshly mind, I can see those guy down there that was over the horse stables and everything, and how he had prepared for the day Solomon died. He probably said, now I can probably get away with, I couldn't take all of these. I don't have enough men and cooperated with me to do it. But the day he dies, I'm fixing to leave this place with a few pair of these horses and a few of these chariots and some of this stuff. I can just imagine a month after Solomon died, there wasn't a piece of silver left in the house to eat a meal with, because that person that was over the silver had plans. When Solomon dies, I'm leaving here with the silver. And the others that were over the gold. And the others that were over different things. And the ones over the food. And the ones over just the furniture. And the ones over the building. The ones over everything. Everything, you know. Solomon said, one of the last things he said in Ecclesiastes, and we're going to read it later on, was, what a fool I've been to amass such wealth all in one place to leave it to a fool. He knew that everybody was going to play the fool when he died. Every single person when he died was going to grab it and run. And that's exactly what happened. I want you to take Josephus or anybody else that you can. It's not clearly stated in our Bible, but I want you to find out from history, wherever you can, how long Solomon's kingdom remained intact after the day he died. I'll guarantee you, the second he drew his breath, everything started disappearing, and it wasn't but a few months. There was nothing left. Everything was in array. His wives were scattered among other men, other people. His concubines were scattered. The places that he fed were having to learn how to get their own food. And there was a great dearth in the land, I'm sure, when Solomon died. In chapter 2, he said, it became madness. It became madness. All that was around him became madness. Wow. There is no accomplishment in madness. And then he said, his works were great. And he said, I built myself houses. I planted myself vineyards. I made myself gardens and orchards. I planted all kinds of fruit trees. And in them I made myself waters of pools of water, and from which the water that grew the trees and the groves, and the aqueduct, and the male and the female servants. I had servants born in my house. I had great possessions of herbs and flocks, and all were in Jerusalem before me. I also gathered for myself silver and gold and special treasures of kings and of the provinces. I acquired male and female singers and the daughters of the sons of men. that made musical instruments of all kinds. So I became great and excelled more all than who were before me in Jerusalem. Also my wisdom remained with me. Whatsoever my eye desired, I did not keep it from it. I took it. If I saw a woman I wanted, I took her. If I saw something I wanted, I got it. I just said, I want that. That's going to be mine. And I did not withhold my heart from any pleasure. He said, I took of all the pleasures the devil put on the earth. I took on them all. For my heart rejoiced in all my labor. And this was my reward from all my labor. This was his reward. Now his reward was all earthly. Man, what a place to be. To have died and have all the noble things of the earth. I don't care if you got 45 enemies. I can't say the word right, that Emmy thing they give people, but they should have named it enemy, because that's what it has become. It has become the enemy of God, the enemy of the soul and spirit of a man, only to feed his flesh, to find out that he's going to die destitute of anything else for his soul and his spirit. Then I looked on all my work that my hands had done, and all the labor which my hands had toiled, and all the deeds were vanity. And I was grasping for the wind, and there was no profit under the sun. All that he did, there was no profit under the sun. Nothing left. Nothing. He didn't gain a thing. He died he left this world naked. He came in the world naked, and he left a bad report. A bad report. Well, this has been Brother Peter. I must go now. I shall return in the next excerpt, which will be excerpt number 4, and I will see you then next time. All right.